Hello, my dear ones. Welcome to this session once again. Children, in the previous class, you have studied about a boy who sets out to see a river. A big mountain stood as a hindrance to it, and he wanted to overcome that hurdle and he wanted to touch and feel the river personally. So he sets out his journey as there were no one in his house because his parents left him alone and they went to visit their relative. It was the right time for the boy to set out for the journey. Okay, let us continue now. The path to the river dropped steeply into the valley, then rose and went round the big mountain. It is frequently used by the villagers, the woodcutters, milkmen, and mule drivers. But there were no villages beyond the mountain or near the river. So, children, the author describes how the path is. Okay, it was a steeply one, and this path was used by the villagers, woodcutters, milkmen, and mule drivers. And there were no villages beyond the mountain or near that river. Okay, it is a lonely place. Then the boy passed a woodcutter and asked him how far it was to the river. The woodcutter was a short but powerful man with a creased and withered face, and muscles stood out in hard, ugly lumps. 7 miles, he said, which was fairly accurate. Why do you want to know? I am going to the river, said the boy. Alone? Of course. Then, children, this boy met a woodcutter on his way. And how the woodcutter looks? He is a short but powerful man with a creased and weathered face. Creased means wrinkled, okay? Wrinkled and weathered face means darkened face due to sunlight, okay? And his muscles stood out in hard, ugly lumps. Then this woodcutter answered him, there is 7 miles to the river. And he asked one more question. Why do you want to know this? Then the boy replied, I am going to the river. Okay. Then the woodcutter again asked, alone? Of course, said the boy. But it is too far. It will take you 3 hours to reach there. And then you have to come back. It will be getting dark. Besides, it is not an easy road. Then the woodcutter warned him that it is not an easy road, and not only that, it will take 2-3 hours to reach there, and by the time he comes back, it will be getting dark. Okay? Then the boy replied, but I am a good walker, said the boy. Though he had never walked further than the mile from his house to his school. So the boy said he is a good walker, and the author says that this boy had never walked further than the mile. Okay. Then the path was steep and the boy had to run most of the time. It was a dizzy, winding path, and he slipped once or twice. The hill was covered with lush green ferns. The trees were wound in creepers, and a great wild dahlia suddenly reared its golden head from the leaves and ferns. Then the author describes the path again, how it looks. Okay, it was a dizzy, winding path, and he slipped once or twice. It is not easy to walk in a steep path. Okay, there is a tendency to fall down, so most of the time we have to run. Okay, so this boy too had to run most of the time. Then he slipped once or twice. The hill was covered with lush green ferns. Green ferns means green color small plant. Okay. The trees were mountain creepers, and a great wild dahlia reared its golden head from the leaves and ferns. From that plant, a golden dahlia raised his head and looked at the boy. The author says that, okay? Then let us break there. Then move on to the question answers. The fifth question is, did the woodcutter encourage the boy to go to the river? No, the woodcutter did not encourage the boy to go to the river. Was the boy a good walker? No, the boy was not a good walker. Pick out the sentence that justify your answer. Which sentence shows us that he is not a good walker? The answer is, he had never walked further than the mile from his house to his school. This sentence shows that he was not a good walker. Okay, children, you write the underlined words and its meaning. Below that you can write these two questions and its answers. Okay, see you in the next class.